I've been a patient at Dr. Pinch for 7 years. We started to see him after learning how he has helped others. We then placed our trust in him. Money was not his concern, just the health of his patients. We saw this on the very first visit. Since then, he has gotten me through rough spider bites and food poisoning. I was quite sick from then on from food poisoning twice, and he was always available and concerned about me. On February 24th, I called Dr. Randy that I was more tired than usual. He didn't like the way he sounded. He told me to see Dr. M the next morning, which I did. After Dr. M checked me out, without realizing it, he called the lab next door to order blood work for me. He gave my son necessary paperwork, and we went to the lab. Everything was happening so fast. My son then took me back to the house to rest. The phone soon rang, and I heard a voice telling me that it was critical and I had to go to the hospital. I quickly got on the phone with my son to tell him the news. Since he was at work, he came as quickly as possible. I barely made it to the hospital. It was a very windy day, and he parked as close as he could to the emergency entrance. It was a little while before patient information was taken and being wheeled to the emergency area. Once I was checked by doctors and nurses and signing important papers, I was taken to my room. I was told that I would receive at least 3 pints of blood, which I was not happy about. I had my son call Dr. Randy. He told me that I had no choice, that I had needed the blood transfusions, and if not, I would go into a coma, or my organs were shut down. Since I lost half of my blood, this was just the beginning of my calls to Dr. Randy. Since I only take natural supplements, I was not happy to take anything given to me at the hospital. I questioned everything given me and everything done to me. I was so grateful that to have my son with me while being at the Kenmore Mercy. They were very helpful, and to let my son spend the whole weekend with me. My son was on the phone talking to Dr. Randy many times on my behalf. We were in touch with Dr. Randy every day until I was discharged on Tuesday 28th, Monday the 28th, because he asked that I keep in touch with him because he wanted to know what's going on at all times. On the day of my discharge, I underwent a test concerning loss of blood. There were also concerns about my blood pressure being high. I told them that it was high because I was not on my natural supplements, and my doctor knew when it was high. It would go down once I was on my natural supplements. The nurses understood and asked if they could get in touch with their doctor to call Dr. Randy. Well, they didn't. The doctor did not get in touch with him. The day I was discharged, the doctor in my care wrote a prescription for a minimal amount of pills, shook my hand and wished me well. Once out of the hospital, I turned to Dr. Randy about gradually being put back on my supplements. My son and I were on the phone, met with him often and after hours. Dr. Randy was always available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I thank God for him and his very understanding wife, who has also been and still is very helpful. I also came down with a bad virus infection about a year ago, when I was helped again by Dr. Randy and a medical doctor. He saved me many times.